Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam means that the ocean of transcendental bliss of the Sankirtan movement is always increasing. So this festival has been going on for several years now, and we should expect that it should become more and more blissful. And this is definitely the best festival of all, because Goswami Maharaj has come here. How many of you are having first time darshan of Goswami Maharaj? Srila Prabhupada, as you know, Srila Prabhupada, as you know, only visited Russia once. And that too only for a short time. But he was very interested that Krishna consciousness be preached in Russia. And he was very hopeful that Russia would be a great center of Krishna consciousness. In teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada notes that because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted that this movement would spread all over the world, that means that there are already many devotees all over the world. And they just have to be wakened up to Krishna consciousness. So definitely, by the arrangement of Lord Chaitanya, certain devotees have been sent to certain areas for assisting Srila Prabhupada in spreading this mission. And it would appear that Goswami Maharaj is one of those special devotees who has come to spread the Sankirtan movement in this very important country. Russia is a very important country. Politically, yes, everyone, that is obvious. About the history of the Kali Yuga. Well, whatever, you tell better than me. 1,000 years or so. And now the real importance of Russia is being revealed, that there are so many devotees of Krishna. Even in New York every Sunday, and in New York ISKCON they have Russian classes every Sunday. Because wherever you go there are Russian devotees. So Goswami Maharaj has been involved in the spread of Krishna consciousness from the earliest times. He's been in the heart of activities since the first days when it was all underground during the communist regime. During those that amazing and hectic time when the communist regime collapsed and the Krishna regime became suddenly apparent. Now, as was not imaginable even a short time ago, the devotees of Krishna are publicly chanting on the streets throughout the ex-Soviet Union. And now Goswami Maharaj is spearheading the project to build the most beautiful building in Moscow to invite Krishna. Heading up, leading. And he's going to, after the arati, he's going to give a slide presentation about that. I may not attend that because I attended the same presentation in Lithuania. How long ago? 3 weeks ago? A month ago? Something like that. But I must admit I'm very excited by this project. That the Mridanga played in that temple, that sound will go all over the world. So I would hope that the devotees in Russia, they can all combinedly focus their attention on this project. and combinedly do something very wonderful for preaching Krishna consciousness throughout Russia, throughout the ex-USSR and throughout the world. So Goswami Maharaj is regularly traveling throughout Russia and throughout the world, and he personally knows so many devotees throughout Russia and throughout the world. He's been throughout the world, and he's particularly been concerned with and involved in programs for giving quality spiritual education to devotees. So, with all this experience and involvement in the development of Krishna consciousness in Russia, I'd like to ask Swami Maharaj what his vision of the development of Krishna consciousness in the future is. With his experience of and involvement in.
God is coming to Russia. Already his representative came. So, have to make a... There was one time, Prabhupada was, I can't remember where, in Australia, America, somewhere like this. Prabhupada was received at the airport in a hired Rolls-Royce car. You all know this Rolls-Royce, what that is? It's a very prestigious car. It costs maybe $200,000 at least. So it's really for the most prestigious, very top people in the world. So some newspaper reporters said to Prabhupada, do you think that's proper that you're supposed to be a holy man, a sadhu, and you're going in a Rolls-Royce? Yeah. So Prabhupada said that, what is this Rolls-Royce? It's just made out of it's just like a tin can. He said God rides in a car made of, in a golden chariot. He said God's representative should also be received in the same way. So this Rolls-Royce is not even good enough, but you're doing your best. They weren't expecting such a reply. But it gives us some idea of how we should receive the Lord. Okay. Throughout Europe, in every village, there are many beautiful churches. And even today, some of the most famous buildings in the world are ancient cathedrals. Especially in Italy, all throughout the country, there's so many wonderful, the architecture, the sculptures, the artwork, just amazing churches. But we don't see many buildings which are hundreds of years old, but we see many churches. This means that people, mostly for themselves, they did not construct such very nice buildings. But their wealth and their artistic expression, their artistic skills were used for creating magnificent places for the worship of God. So even they didn't have such high knowledge, but that culture was there. Now the churches are empty. I don't know in Russia, but in the Western world, well, it's different in different places. In England, it's really, really quite empty. One of my disciples in London, he's from India. He was involved in some local social work, so he got to know the local priest, who invited him to come to church on Christmas Day, the main festival of the year. Is that the main festival in the Orthodox Church also? No. Easter. Easter. Yeah. So anyway, in the Roman Catholic and the Anglican churches, the Christmas is by far the biggest festival on which every Christian must go to church at least on Christmas Day. So this disciple of mine went to the service on Christmas Day in London, which is, it's a highly populated city, densely populated city. Yeah, he went to the church. And at the service there was the priest, one old woman and himself. Sad situation. So, as Goswami Maharaj was saying, this temple will not be built simply out of stone and bricks, but the devotees will bring the temple to life by their devotion, their activities in the service of the Lord. So, let us build a beautiful temple for the beautiful Supreme Personality of Godhead, and let us take the training by which our character can be suitable to serve in such a temple. Dharma sthapan hetu shatur vyavahar. Religion is established in this world by the behavior of devotees. I remember when I first read a book of Srila Prabhupada's, the Krishna book, volume 2. And I could understand this was something very valuable. And I thought, well, at the same time, I didn't believe that there could be anyone who actually lived according to the ideals described there. Because I'd seen many people who talk very high things, but their behavior didn't match up to them. But I thought, it's my duty to go and see. So I was very happy to see that actually the devotees lived by what is in the books. So now there is a great challenge for all the devotees in Russia. The first major temple of Krishna in Moscow. It's a big city, so we probably need to have at least 15 or 20 big temples there in course of time. And Prabhupada said in Delhi we need to have at least 12 big temples. But that's one challenge. It's not only for Goswami Maharaj or the devotees in Moscow, but every devotee in Russia should consider it, that this is our mission. Together we have to all do this. We should all contribute in whatever way we can. By distributing the books, if there's just some small markup put on the books, then with every book you'll be contributing to the temple and to the overall development of Krishna consciousness in this country. As more and more books are distributed, more and more people will be thinking, what is this wonderful way of life that's described herein? And then they'll want to visit the temple. And they'll see, this looks just like the spiritual world. And they'll come in and they'll find that the devotees, they're actually residents of the spiritual world by their wonderful Krishna conscious transcendental behavior. And this way, thousands and millions of people they'll automatically take to Krishna consciousness. More and more all over the world, people are feeling tremendous anxiety. Especially with this terrorism, people feel fear that at any time, even on a normal day, in a normal situation, they can just suddenly be blasted. You can't trust anyone. So in this atmosphere of anxiety, people are more and more understanding that this modern material civilization is a failure. So Krishna consciousness is the actual solution. So it's a challenge for all the devotees in Russia and a tremendous opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness and personally, in each devotee's personal life, develop Krishna consciousness. Because the two things must go together side by side, otherwise it cannot be maintained. As Goswami Maharaj was alluding to, we have in the past distributed many books and spread the movement very widely. And the devotees who contributed to that undoubtedly were glorious. But it appears in many cases that there was a lack of internal development also, which may explain why many of the great book distributors and preachers of the past are no longer properly engaged in Krishna conscious activities. So this is an excellent multi-pronged approach. Approach in various ways. Prong means like a trident has 3 prongs. So that distributing the books, building the temple, studying the books, not just reading, studying, and consciously, under the guidance of experienced devotees, developing the qualities suitable for a Vaishnava. It's quite likely that by building this temple, then devotees, even the leaders of cities, will say, well, why don't you build a temple in our city also? Of various cities. Yeah. So just like there are cathedrals and churches throughout Europe, there should now come a spiritual renaissance with wonderful Krishna conscious temples throughout Europe and the world. Prabhupada practically started this movement in America, but somehow along the way many of the temples in America seem to have lost their dynamism. But still that's very strong here. So maybe Russia has to lead the Vaishnava world and show what is possible to have beautiful temples filled with beautiful devotees in every town and village and farm communities. So much work Prabhupada gave us. So let us all become more and more absorbed in Prabhupada's mission. We all have a place. Prabhupada has tremendous desire to serve Krishna. He's very greedy. Greedy. He has tremendous transcendental greed to serve Krishna more and more and more. So he's collecting up more and more people. Please come, serve Krishna. Help me to serve Krishna. So everything we do in Krishna conscious, Prabhupada is very pleased with that. We all have our part to play. So I'm basically a visitor to this arena, staying here throughout the year. So please see what you can do within your lifetime to help spread Krishna consciousness. Work together to glorify Srila Prabhupada and his beloved Sri Sri Radha Krishna. Now we're thinking about this wonderful project, the Moscow temple. But this should be the beginning of a wonderful Krishna consciousness will spread wonderfully throughout Russia, throughout Europe, throughout the world. So please tell everyone you meet. They will ask, are you a Krishnaite? So you can tell them yes, and Krishna is coming to Moscow. So, just like these Jehovah's Witnesses, they're always saying, the end of the world is coming. God is coming. God is coming to send you all to hell. It's always about 2 years in advance. So, We are saying God is coming, and we can give it more or less a date, and He will surely come. And this is the beginning of the world. Just like that man, 15 years, the book is sitting on the shelf. How I wasted my life. Now my life has begun. Just like in 2 days' time, it's Janmashtami. Janmashtami is Krishna's birthday. It's also my birthday. Mine. And I'll be 30 years old. Yeah. I received initiation on Janmashtami 1975, 30 years ago. God is coming to Russia, and Russia's glories will be actually manifest at that time.
Russia's glories?
They will be greatly magnified at that time. Russia's glories, actually Krishna's glories, through Russia. And unless the American devotees wake up pretty soon, I think the standoff between Russia and America will be won by the Russians. Russia will become the most prominent country by spreading Krishna consciousness. Once Prabhupada was in London and he met one of these lords. You know these lords they have in England? They're ordinary meat eaters who have the title Lord in front of them. They're considered aristocratic because they eat high-class meat. So Prabhupada said that, well, you used to have a great empire, but now you have lost it. But you can again rule the world. You just have to take a little advice from me. So the world is in a very miserable situation. By United Nations or any other means, there's no material solution to the problems of the world. As is pointed out in that book, Science of Self-Realization, that we need spiritual solutions to material problems. So that this tremendous Krishna conscious energy, if you all come together and this can develop more and more and more. So please, again, you all cooperate in this great transcendental adventure of giving spiritual energy, Krishna consciousness, to Russia and to the world. Maharaj, would you like to say something more? All right. Any question?